this, this is actually quite an opportunity because I'm giving a speech tomorrow at Toastmasters. Most of you are aware of Toastmasters. It's a worldwide public speaking kind of leadership education program that's been around for a long time. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome. Uh, for people who like public speaking, it's a chance to do it. For people who don't like public speaking, it's a chance to like it through practice. So I will be having this speech tomorrow. Now, this is sort of a dry run. I'm kind of making up the speech as I go. I'm going to talk about this now, and then I'll write it down, and then I'll practice it, and so forth. So, the thing I will be talking about today will be my residence in three different U.S. cities that I really like, some more than others. And I entitled this piece A Tale of Three Cities, thinking that some of you may be familiar with Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, Paris and London, and that was a book set in the French, what would we call that? It wasn't the War of Independence, the French Revolution. It's been a long day. Okay, three cities: Philadelphia, Chicago, New York. See that I don't, the way I count off things on my fingers, I don't go like this. I kind of, what did I do? I went like this and this. Okay, let's do the pros and cons. Philadelphia. I went to college in Philadelphia. It's compared to New Jersey. The first thing I noticed when I was down there is that on just about any day, even the rainiest day, if you look up in the sky, you will always see a small patch of blue. There was always a patch of blue. And I was coming from northern New Jersey, where the sky became overcast and it never stopped. It went on for months. There was never any blue sky. So I immediately thought that Philadelphia was a good place. Philadelphia has a lot of pros. It's kind of it's laid out, at least the downtown, like a traditional European city with blocks. It's very walkable, sidewalks, storefronts, restaurants. It's great. Drawbacks. Well, it's a little bit provincial. It can be dirty. It can be a little dangerous when you kind of get out of the immediate downtown. But overall, it's a beautiful place. And there's a long park along the Schuylkill River where I used to row. That's really nice. It's a great place to take a walk there. There are tons of nice restaurants, and it's got a lot of character. It's a very old place, a lot of character. You don't have to see the Liberty Bell to have a good time. Okay, so I didn't really get into the pros and cons very deeply, but let's think about Chicago. Chicago is a cold place. And in fact, if I was to characterize the weather in Chicago versus, say, the weather in London, I would do it like this. Chicago is like a meat freezer. London is like a dungeon. What are the differences? Dungeons are cold and damp. Meat freezers are dry but colder. The beauty of Chicago is that with enough heat, you can warm up, just like you can thaw out a side of beef. In Edinburgh, which isn't on our list of three cities where I spent a year, you can't warm up. There's no way to warm up. There's no amount of heat will actually take the dampness away. Chicago has impressive architecture. I wasn't all that enamored of Chicago. Maybe it was because I was in graduate school and trying to teach myself a lot of things like accounting. while the professors taught their theories and said, here's the textbook, use it for reference. Now, on to my research. That was the kind of school it was. So I had to teach myself accounting. In Chicago, I bought some of my best cold weather wear, and I had to because it was just so cold. Now, those are all more or less negatives. I'm trying to think of the positives. I don't know. I was a little negative on Chicago at the time. Besides the obvious cold and the fact that once you got into the Lincoln Park area, everything looked exactly the same. There was almost no getting out because they would have corners with 5 streets, sometimes 6. And if you got lost, this was before GPS, you were done. You could just be circling around. The only thing you could do is drive in one direction and hope you hit the lake. That was the only way out. Plus, the parking meter people were just insane. I think they were all on amphetamines because you couldn't leave that car there for 30 seconds past the time, and bam, you got the ticket. I think I paid more parking tickets. I paid so many parking tickets that I should have just rented a space, and it would have equaled almost the same thing. New York, I could devote, and I think I will devote, an entire piece of video to New York because I love it. I leave Atlanta, I come in through, if I come up from Grand Central out of the subway and I climb the stairs and I just breathe that exhaust and the polluted air and I say, I can breathe. Finally, I'm here. And it just lights me up like a Christmas tree. I love it. And I can tell you a great deal more about it. I lived there for about 3 different times for a total of about 7 years. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. In fact, I'm planning a trip soon. That will be our next video. We will talk about New York. And then for those of you out there who watch these videos at night and are about to go to sleep, sleep well, and we'll see you tomorrow.